As we await an outcome in the case of a massive college admissions cheating scam, today we are having a conversation about what needs to be improved in the admissions process. Here to explain why prestige should be determined by performance, we have President of Albertus Magnus College, Marc, Camille, with us this morning.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here with us, President Camille.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks.
you wrote this op-ed.
I did.
And the headline said that you wanted to shift it from prestige to performance. What reaction have you been getting from this?
Actually, it's been very positive reaction. You know, that the whole premise, the reason I wrote, as you know, I worked in college admissions for almost 3 decades before taking the presidency.
You started your career, I guess,
as an admission counselor.
Exactly.
And so I've been through a lot of these scandals over the years. And as this one unfolded, I just, as the days went by, I felt called to express my opinion regarding not really this recent scandal, but about this idea that in many ways I think our country would benefit from shifting the kind of the focus, the way we assess value or assign value to colleges, from prestige to performance. And so I just let the words come out and wrote the article.
You were very blunt in this article.
Well, I guess I was direct, we might say. I mean,
yes.
You know, the bottom line is, I mean, you know, institutions like the Ivy League and the super selective institutions are unquestionably, they're excellent, right? The point I'm making is, and of course I talked about Albertus Magnus, you know, I know a little bit about the place at this point, but the point I was trying to convey was there are these institutions in the country that literally elevate lives and elevate dreams, and because they might not be big-time athletics programs or don't have the billion-dollar endowments, etc., they're not in the headlines. They're not at the top of the U.S. news rankings. And so I just decided that this was a time to express those opinions.
What are the ethical flaws? You talk about that. What are the ethical flaws in admissions process? Well,
you know, I suppose that's open to interpretation, right? But you know, a number of years ago, I was asked to write a book chapter for what is called the Handbook to Strategic Enrollment Management, and which is really the world of college admission. And I was asked to write the chapter on ethics. And so I did, you know, some research on the subject. And first of all, one of the real discoveries for me was I came across a journal article from 1936 in which the author basically claimed one of the great flaws of higher education, concerns in higher education at the time, was the college admissions world. So here we are 8 decades later, and we're still going through these scandals, these ethical challenges. And so I think, you know, my argument, my belief is as enrollment managers, as admission professionals, we need to consider what we do through an ethical lens. You know, first of all, the whole right or wrong, but also the strategies or the tactics we put in play. Are there unintended negative consequences on certain students or certain populations?
Yes, it is quite challenging for you to be competing against the Ivy League powerhouse Yale. But colleges like Albertus Magnus have their own story to tell. So let's share some of that.
Sure. And you know, frankly, I mean, we don't compete with Yale, right? Certainly not in the admissions world. But one of the statements I put into the article was that, make no mistake about it, our students are prepared to compete when they graduate. And at Albertus Magnus, you know, our focus isn't on who our students are when they come in. It's about who they become during their education journey, and then really who they become, how they lead, how they live their lives after they graduate. And so, you know, for example, one of the ways that colleges do assess value on an annual basis is 6 months after graduation. How are the graduates doing, right? So it's one of these accepted metrics. For 3 years in a row, the 3 most recent classes from Albertus Magnus College, 6 months out, more than 96% or more have been either employed full-time or furthering their education. That data point, most people are not familiar with it happening at a place like Albertus Magnus, and that's as good as it is anywhere in the country.
So true, and as a parent, I know I've been looking at that as well. So thank you very much for sharing that with us, and for sharing your thoughts this morning with us.
No, it's a pleasure. Anytime. Thanks, Jocelyn.
You're welcome.